And we are live. Hey, Bull, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm working out of an empty room with my laptop and no microphone or anything like that, so it's going to be a bit average on the audio side of things, but hopefully you can bear with it.
You've never been clearer.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Everyone's in the chat. Can you hear us? Sound check before we start. Chris, Ben, Habibi, Jose, Tintin's in here. Just drop a note if you can hear us, if you can hear Bull, if you can hear me, and we'll kickstart the town hall.
That Habibi guys everywhere.
Yeah. Seems to be.
Yeah.
Cool.
Salam alaikum.
Voice got lower.
Yeah, mine.
I'm sitting on the floor in this empty house. I'm moving house at the moment, so yeah, pain all around. Town hall for June 2022. So a bunch of community questions and answers as per the Discord. You guys have been asking questions regarding obviously the situation that's arose and the DBLP update, which Bull can hopefully give a great insight into right now. So that's the agenda for today, but the focus is going to be the questions because there are a lot of them and we want to do our best to shine a light on current situation and how we're going to move forward with the project. So, Bull, let's get started. We're starting on...
So wait a second. So the questions, we're not reading them from the sheet. They're going in the slides, yeah? The bullets here. Yeah, okay, yeah. So just so everybody knows, we've received, I think, what is it, like 90 questions or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And we've done our best to group them and cover everything that's been asked. So there was a lot of double ups, triple ups even of the same question.
Yep.
So what timeline would you put on the DBLP being on mainnet? Straight to the point, Bull. I'm going to cover this from a lot of different angles. So I guess starting off,
so forgive me, I'm less energetic than usual. My kid's got chickenpox, so I'm not sleeping very much. She's only 16 months. What timeline would you put on DBLP being mainnet? Well, that entirely depends on the direction that it's going to take. As it is, it can go on mainnet tomorrow, but we're not going to do that. We've covered that extensively in the Medium article and also in the chats within the Discord. I can also say that whatever new shape it's going to take, we're definitely not going to stretch into the next year because that would be a waste of everybody's time. So what I would like to do, the direction I would like to take it in, so that it's entirely permissionless and that we check all the regulatory boxes that are currently in place and upcoming or potentially upcoming. It should be before the end of the year, but it depends on what the roadmap is and what people agree with in the DAO, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's very brief, but we'll touch on that from different aspects because there's some good questions asked around what needs to happen, what's involved, and what we're thinking. So that'll come a little bit later. Auditor and criteria for the smart contracts and everything that we're building.
We can't release who the auditor is or who the auditors are actually ahead of time, but the criteria are reputable. We've cross-referenced them. Sorry, we've cross-referenced them with other projects. Also, cost is a big factor. Speed of auditing, the maturity of the auditor. So yeah, we're looking at several of the main ones. There was a joke I saw yesterday on Twitter saying that someone got audited by a top 12 auditor. That's not us. No. The thing is though that a large part of what is built currently will be used within the smart contract in its to be released form anyway. So it's good to get an audit ahead, especially on the vaulting mechanisms.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So decentralized model looking like Uniswap Labs or Uniswap protocol workout. There's also more on this throughout. There's another question about, and I guess commentary from us about the direction that we're looking to take the project now that a light has been shined on the regulatory concerns that regulators in the US and across the world inevitably will follow. So permissionless, decentralized model is very much what we're looking at, and you'll hear more on that. And that's probably just a yes or no question at the moment. Would a decentralized model work? Yes, and that's the direction that we'll be looking at. But as far as what that looks like is currently being developed by the project, and the DAO is going to have a massive say in how that evolves. But we'll get more into that a little bit later on in this presentation.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like I've said, sorry, I just got a bit of coffee, so some energy is flowing through my veins now.
Wondering what's going on there.
Yeah, so my wife just walked in and gave me a coffee because she probably heard me on the live stream. The thing is that the big issue right now with the DBLP, and part of the reason why I was initially so bullish on it when Adam proposed it back, I think it was in September or a bit earlier even, is he described what we could do and how we could do it, but I saw an architecture in front of me whereby we could modularly add on strategies, because this market moves so fast. A MEV strategy that's paying absolute bank last month is absolutely dead this month. A basis trade might not be the best allocation. There might be a new protocol coming up with a stupid emission schedule, which you can absolutely milk to the smithereens. And what I like a lot about the original DBLP architecture is we could move so fast just to add a wrapper strategy onto an already secure infrastructure and then just give it as a possibility to reallocate yield. I am currently working on what is the replacement of that, because one of the reasons why I was super bullish about the project was because of that modular strategy bolt-on. How do you do that in a permissionless, completely decentralized manner? I can start to see some roads forward in that, and I think there are some structures which you can use, but it's not entirely clear to me just yet. So it's also one of the reasons why we're going to Barcelona today to speak with other projects, to look at how they are tackling these headwinds and how they are, being fast about adapting their protocol, because some protocols are just released on mainnet and are never changed. And I don't want the DBLP to become something like that, because one of its powers, in my opinion, was in the flexibility. You sacrifice some decentralization for being extremely quick and being able to move extremely quick. I'm not a decentralization maxi. I'm not a maxi in any regard, really. I care about making people that are in the DBLP money in the end, and to say anything else is just a lie. So yeah, it's what shape that's going to take. Very honestly, I don't know exactly yet, but I do see some paths.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer.
Yeah. Cool. The DBLP has been running on mainnet with CT private funds, right? Is this likely to continue?
Yes and yes, because first of all, to check the vaulting architecture, but that's actually quite simple once it's all working. I mean, the infrastructure is not simple, but the routing of money, once you've tested all the routes, that's that. It's running in strategies that we are developing and will keep developing. So the team is constantly trying to extract positive EV from the market. So yeah.
Helps a lot with testing as well and refining.
Yeah, and also makes the project. It's just a very good time spending of a good spending of time.
Yeah, there's nothing like real life testing. DBLP infrastructure, can that be housed on a decentralized network like a cache, then accessed via nodes? I guess someone is probably assuming that we can bypass regulatory concerns by being on a decentralized network, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But
Akash is a beautiful technology, but it's not a decentralized network. It's a tokenization of spare server capacity around the world. That's just a step further from you spinning up your Google Cloud or AWS instance. It's decentralized in the fact that you can anonymously buy tokens and then claim compute power. So in that sense, yes. Can the DBLP infrastructure be housed there? Yeah, absolutely. I love Akash, and it's completely possible. Actually, being prepared to do as such, because it's mostly Kubernetes. So the thing about decentralizing strategies is that this is not a good idea. This is like the one use case that I don't think is a good application of the Akash technology or technology layer, because you're talking about the management of secrets. So if you're doing anything that has been suggested, such as delegated custody of funds or allowing people to run their own strategies and stuff like that, that's the one use case I would not use Akash for, because you do not know on what hardware or within which environment this runs. It's very easy to set up a predatory hardware layer and then make it available to Akash while still being able to extract information. So I don't think that that's the right use case. And then you are limited to where do we host the website. The website, that's just static. So there's no secrets in there, and that can be done on one Akash node. That's fine.
Cool. So that covers that. What kept you from changing the DBLP structure and decentralizing it further as soon as you got the information from custodians and exchanges that you would not be able to custody third parties' funds on behalf of BM? Well, that's exactly what we're doing right now. Making sure that we act as soon as possible. This the Loomis bill came out on June 7th. And this is why we are ensuring that we
we released the article 9 days later. It's an incredibly fast reaction time if you think about the fact that all of this stuff needs to get legally checked, and we need to discuss it. We need to formulate a road forward, calm all the major stakeholders, etc., etc. And what kept you from changing the DBLP structure and decentralize it further as soon as you got the information from custodians and exchanges, blah, 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 that you're not okay? What they're asking is, what kept you from pulling like this band-aid off earlier once you knew that you weren't going to be able to custody people's funds on exchanges? The thing is that most of the very interesting yield opportunities are actually on-chain. And so we are wholly comfortable to just work on on-chain strategies whilst we're figuring out a way around this point. That is before we got far more starker regulatory headwinds coming. So it's two different things.
Yeah. And these are not things that you can spin up in a single day or a week. If there are no plans on pushing to mainnet, will you open source the technology to let someone else do it?
This is a scenario which will not happen, but I think the goal is eventually to open source it anyway, and you need to be so far ahead. I think that the DAO should want that as well. It's just if you have a fledgling community on chain and you have a good vaulting architecture and you have a good SDK for other protocols to interoperate with, then you should want to open source it because it adds legitimacy to the project. It adds an ability for people to review the safety concerns they might have in deploying large amounts of capital. But most of all, and first and foremost, it allows people to compose much easier with the DBLP. So the first part of this question is misleading. If there are no plans to push it on mainnet, there absolutely are plans to push on mainnet. I mean, why else are we building a project? I'm hearing myself now.
You're hearing yourself?
Yeah.
What's going on here? How's that?
Hello? Yeah, better.
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah. So we are pushing on mainnet. Will you open source the tech? Yeah, eventually. If we would abandon the project, then we would open source the stuff immediately. But we're not abandoning the project.
Cool. Question regarding DBLP. There's going to be a lot of this chat because there's quite a few questions that came through on this. DBLP for self-use. So, for instance, using the NFT to participate and X amount of basis. The software has a limit of funds that any particular strat can execute. Basis gets burnt as the self-executed pool generates yield. Then you can start working on a long-term wider pool solution. We should be able to plug in our own exchange APIs, and therefore KYC doesn't fall on basis at all. And then each participant has to actively participate, and that means it can't be classified as a security.
Yeah, so basically what people are saying is, can you Hummingbot or XYZ bot the DBLP architecture for people to use individually? The thing is that no, because this would come with an enormous amount of work that was neither raised for or prepared for. I'm definitely not going to facilitate all of the questions that are coming in and all of the technical questions that people are going to have. This works really well because it's a pooling architecture. So you pool money together. With size, you're also able to build up an insurance fund much better, and you're able to hedge positions much better. And you're working with economies of scale. The whole thing is just an enormous set of technology if you run it individually. I'm not saying that parts of the strategies we won't release for people to be using themselves. I think that that's entirely possible, and I think it's also good to open up some things, especially if we're going towards a more permissionless method, whereby people can build on top of existing strategies to make their own strategies and have the DBLP run in that manner. But like a short answer to this question is no. Because it's not what we raised for. We don't have the manpower for this. It's not our type of company. That what you're talking about is actually quite a big operation.
Yeah. Is the current status of the project, I assume, just wait until full extent of regulation is known? Well, current status is let's pivot and make sure that we're adhering to that regulation, that we can still build, which we think we can, and we're going to need a lot of DAO input and collaboration, which is going to come very, very shortly. And the current status is still build, but know that we have to pivot from the original idea somewhat. Do you have anything else on that, Paul?
Yeah, I think you can look ahead. I mean, you can do a process of elimination, saying, well, this we are absolutely not going to do, this we're absolutely not going to do. But in which way can we deliver on the original promise, which is a decentralized pool whereby these complex strategies are executed automatically in an aggregate manner to create yield at aggregate for everybody, so that you have the benefit of an insurance fund, that you have the benefit of token dynamics, which are set by the DAO in order to create elasticity within the protocol. I think that you can build towards that. How that looks like right now, very honestly, we don't know exactly, but that's what we're working on. So the current status is not just wait. The current status is figure the hell out how we're going to move forward as fast as possible, given all the things that can come up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so someone's got an idea. So I'm just trying to piece together this question here, whether it's been lost amongst the filtering. Idea is basically building on the DBLP engine that requires self-hosting and self-execution on a monthly basis in a SaaS style. Funds never use wallets. Funds never leave user wallets. They interact with smart contract code that they've licensed. So that's back on the can we release the DBLP for self-use idea.
Can we go back to that one for a second?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a question or a statement.
I think it's an idea that someone's putting forward. Yes, no.
Yeah, but it's the same as point 2 on this slide, isn't it?
The same as point 2. Follow on from point 2. Yeah.
I like it, and I think that my life post basis, if it ever gets there, will be more in this area, just releasing snippets of code and strategies that people can run themselves eventually, or I might, let's say that the DBLP is fully decentralized and there's a method to contribute strategies, which I would love. Then I would be one of the people that is contributing strategies or running my own pool on the DBLP. So I see it more as like and I hate this word because it's in the play to earn, play to burn sector, but guilds. So if you have a pool guild, like if you have a guild of developers and people that pool together and they just leverage the DBLP and they can create their own pool, and it lists in a ranking of pools, and it's a set of their own strategies, and then that is none of our business where like who the money is or where it goes. They are responsible for their security, but they are also responsible for their alpha. So it can be a mechanism whereby they are paid in a fee way from the pool usage. So other people, let's say that you have a group of 3 or 4 people and you have some great strategies, and we have built the mechanism for you to securely route funds through those strategies. Then you can run strategies using the pool infrastructure and having this wider community and token market behind your infrastructure, and you can compete with other guilds. I'm going to puke in my mouth, sorry. Where you compete for fees in essence, and then we'd have to figure out the tokenomics behind that. But I can really see something like that being one of the end avenues. I think that we would initially release it with a set of already pre-built strategies. Those strategies will become open source. They will become, let's say, the boilerplate on which other people build other strategies. The whole architecture is permissionless and audited, so that you don't have to do that. So there we can make use of the communities of scale. Let's say, like, an individual is not going to spend $50,000 or $100,000 on an audit. Let's be honest. But if you all pull together and you audit the parts that need to be secure, which we have raised funds for, then you have all of the boilerplate and the code and the infrastructure in order to create your own set of strategies that run on there. And that, in a way, is more bullish than the current design, because currently we are limited by how fast my fingers and the dev team's fingers move. But if you move towards a model like that, then everybody can contribute strategies in a safe and secure manner. And then you get, and there's another word I'm going to puke in my mouth about, is gamification. Sorry, need a moment to catch my breath. You can gamify the creation of strategies and then start competing with one another. And I think that that model has shown extremely lucrative in the past, and there's a way to burn basis there. And yeah, there's a path.
Yeah, there's definitely a path. It's just working that out over the course of the next couple of months.
Yeah,
and building towards that by end of year. You were saying tentatively.
Yeah. How to do it though at this moment in time, I have no clue. Yeah. But I've never not figured something out, so I'm sure I'll figure this out as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like when you re-engineered TradingView.
You cannot stop me.
Cannot. Okay, cool. Thoughts on shifting towards I think we've kind of touched on this.
Yeah, we've covered this.
Yeah. Service requiring KYC. Will that,
this second point, whoever
originally, I think.
I've heard this argument a couple of times. Like the second point that's been submitted also to the Discord. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, tell me you're 16 without telling me you're 16. If the DBLP is ready, why not release this plan and then worry about non-regulations?
Oh yeah, the second point.
Yeah.
Not confirmed regulations.
The next one. 96% of draft bills don't make. Oh, we've got a regulatory expert. 96% of draft bills don't make it. Sure, but if you think there's no regulation coming, then you're naive as hell. It's definitely coming, and all the smartest people that we know within the space are preparing for it. Some started already a year ago, so it is coming. And how the hell am I going to get motivated to build for the coming 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year, knowing that everything I'm doing at that specific day is probably going to be going into a dumpster fire because it's going to need to be changed. I mean, I don't think, and I don't think there's such a thing as a stupid question, but this one, euphemistically, is not very well thought through.
Yeah, and it's all about being ignorant. I think you can't show ignorance when something like
ignorance is not bliss. Yeah,
no, I mean,
9 out of 10 of the people don't understand that in most of the jurisdictions where we operate, the onus is on the accused to prove that they're innocent instead of innocence until proven guilty. That is one of the nefarious things within financial legislation or fiscal legislation.
Yeah. And we're not nuking the project. We're pivoting to make sure that we are following a path that's sustainable. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have sustainability, what the hell is, like you said, all the point of building this stuff for maybe
And
6 months, and then all of a sudden it's got to be nuked, and you've got to start all over again. And we've been having a conversation over and over and over.
There's also a principle that people need to realize is, why the hell would I work on something which I know now that is not going to be of any value? Like, why would I waste my time on if I know that something is not going to be valuable when it's released? We're reworking it. We're not nuking the project.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be more on that as we go along, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so would it help the project if it was in euros away from US regulation? No.
I think if you're going to do something, do it in preparation of the worst regulation, because the EU is just going to bend over and get taken in the back by the US on this one.
Yeah. Definitely. Would it make sense to set up an offshore and block UK and USA retail? Well, that would be not in the best interest of our current holders and current community. There'd be a large percentage of those guys that are based in those jurisdictions, and also you're showing a little bit of ignorance to the potential fallout from the US bill into the rest of the world, I think. And it's going on that ignorance is not bliss, and you can try and hide like Binance has tried to do, and all these different companies try to do, but eventually you're going to be caught in a corner, and it's all, you've got to make sure that your sustainability of the project is just important.
I think you need to think bigger, and you need to ask yourself the question, well, what can you do in order to have a successful protocol whereby you can just accept anybody and you are not the one accepting anybody? So I think that's the thing that you should be focusing on. It's looking at the problem on a different angle.
Yeah. Why is the focus of regulations mainly on the US? Why not go for a global alternative with regulations, for example, in Europe or somewhere else? People then have to comply to their own country's regulation if they want to participate. Well, we just touched on that. Don't skip the first question.
Don't skip the first question. We talked about the first. We talked about it. Yeah. Why are regulations? Let's just focus on the questions in the sheet. Why is it focus on? Okay, we've talked about this. Would the founders consider releasing and adjusting the land as the landscape change? No, we've talked about this. Why is potential regulation published in review now an issue? This is a question, Ted. Maybe you have some more on this one. Why is it?
EU Mika. I'll just go back to the original sheet and make sure that we aren't missing anything on that one. Give me one moment. The EU. No, that's all I've got on that one.
I think I can answer this. I think that the parts of the MiCA were still reworkable with the DBLP as it was, but given the fact that it's going to get a lot more stringent and the EU is going to follow, we made a choice to prepare it. I mean, people need to realize is that we're not backing out of something because of a rumor. We're backing out of something that has substantial weight behind it, and we have been advised by legal professionals that say, look, you need to start taking this far more seriously and ask yourself the question before you accept $1 of people's funds, what you're going to do. It's like, now you have the chance to change the direction and to make sure that you are squeaky clean the whole path, or you can trot in murky waters, accept people's funds, have set precedent for bad actions in the past, and have to rework the entire architecture down the road. The choice is quite simple. So yeah. I think that we've covered that one now quite a bit.
When at first building and developers going to touch on the same thing. There was not a thought from core team on how regulation in 2022 could affect the DBLP tokenomics and consequent build-up of alternatives. Of course, there was thought and there was a lot of advice seeked and received, but with the advent of the bill in the US, that has changed quite considerably.
Yeah, it's like, imagine you're in a pot of boiling water and you have a risk level which is 40 degrees. You can still sort of swim in 40-degree water, even though it's very uncomfortable and you shouldn't do it for a long time. The temperature at the time of the project idea was about a comfortable 27 degrees. It was not cold, but it was warm. Then suddenly it goes up to 80 degrees. You're going to get boiled to death. So yeah, things change. I think that, looking back when we started in October, December, everybody here also in the community is always saying how fast the crypto landscape changes, and they love it, but they don't love it when it means that, some things that they are banking on change, because they have to change. A lot of stuff changes all the time. And I think that the only way you're going to survive or succeed is if you can adapt to it swiftly. We received a notification just after the 7th, actually on the 8th, from legal counsel, and we reacted 8. Oh, people are commenting on grammar. I'm Dutch, by the way. I speak better English than you do Dutch. Regulation could affect it. Yeah, so yeah.
Aussie for sort.
Yeah. Just switch off the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Motherfucker's pissing me off. Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, it's easy to write this kind of stuff. Next question. What are the team's views on splitting the DBLP into an off-chain trading bot for a fee? This is something that's being considered, but not to deliver just something like a shotgun approach, but if it serves a wider purpose, which is test an architecture or test a security model, or allow input from people that are smarter and more experienced on certain elements than we are. So yeah, it wouldn't take a considerable amount to audit and test, because the testing will be done by a third party and people will use it at their own risk. That's the whole point. It's just an audit by community. And the third party, yeah. So if you have a fully on-chain model, then you're already putting the custody of funds in a third party. So for example, if we have a strategy whereby we're doing a funding arbitrage on-chain DEXs, then literally you are putting funds in the custody of third-party protocols, but in a permissionless manner. Like, the people that are within the pool understand the risks and know where their money is going and have signed an agreement with their transaction that moves those funds in those pools. So it is a consensual thing. If we just take money off the chain from the smart contract through the mechanism that we have right now, that's a different thing.
Cool. Given the early stage and fast-changing environment, yeah, we just touched on all of that. Differing regulatory, yep. Happy with that, Bull?
Given the early stage and fast-changing environment, sentences are long.
Manage and mitigate. Differing regulatory.
What's the question?
So just what measures are in place to manage and mitigate differing regulatory requirements in the US, EU, UK, Oz, Indonesia,
okay, yeah.
Future-proofing introduced legislation yet to be passed and enshrined into law.
The approach here is not to plug holes. It's not a bassin of water which has tiny little holes appearing into it. The approach here is to make the need for the leaks to go away. So what you're doing is you're not building something to continuously navigate changes. You're looking at it and you're saying, what can we do in order to deliver the same value or similar value, but like eschew the entire issue in its entirety. So the answer there is not how can we change a small tokenomic element here, or how can we route funds through this method. No, it is how do we change certain core aspects of the protocol in order to not even be considered under these frameworks. And that means that needs to be entirely permissionless. It needs to be entirely community driven. There needs to be certain open source aspects around it. There needs to be a non-custody element of funds. There needs to be no person behind the token if there's ever going to be a reward distribution via the token. It needs to be as hard as shutting down the internet. Essentially, that's the litmus test.
Yeah. Okay, funds. So moving away from the DBLP and onto funds, there are a few questions around funds and that type of thing. Is it likely that another round of fundraising will need to be done to be able to deliver DBLP 2.0? No.
Nope. We're
Not
good.
at all. Considering that 1 million,
These questions.
yeah. Considering that 1 million could buy a fifth of all basis tokens at current prices, why not use 1 million of raised funds on DevNet and run it? All profit could be used to burn tokens. Well, the funds that are there to build out the project, and while the funds are there, we're building the project. They're not there to speculate on tokens at all. So
I just want to answer one thing. It feels like you took the cash and are swanning off into the sunset. We wouldn't be here if we're swanning off into the sunset, Mr. Hoopla. I wouldn't waste my time answering questions in an AMA. I wouldn't go to Barcelona and dox myself to build on a protocol. If you are here to FUD, then kindly fuck off. It's no time for this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
No, so no further funds. So considering that 1 million could buy 1/5 of all basis tokens, 1 million, really? But guys, if you buy 1 million tokens, how are you going to do this? Are you going to TWAP, as Ledger would say, or TWAP, as Kobe would say? The price, is nobody going to notice that? How can you even begin to answer this question? I mean, yes, we chose to put it in the slides. I don't really know why, but it's no. 1 million of funds raised off DevNet on DevNet. Why not use 1 million of raised funds on DevNet?
Yeah, it's a broken question. Anyway, we won't get caught up on that.
Look, the person that asked this question, please reach out to me via DM. I don't want to SHIT on you in an AMA. I'm sorry about that. But if you are missing some elements in terms of inner workings, then I'm more than happy to explain them to you. If we don't launch DBLP, what happens to the basis? We will launch a DBLP. Don't worry about that. Would it be an idea to just forget about yield and use 22% of the profit of the DBLP to buy back? Yeah, that is definitely an idea. I think it's 24%, not 22, as it currently stands. Yeah, that's absolutely an idea. I would like to see a buy and burn model that has a direct effect of value, because the problem is that it's as if you're pulling a cart with an elastic band instead of a rope. So the transfer of energy is not direct, but comes in a more dynamic way, if that makes sense. How do you make sure that this is not gamed? This is quite this is quite a complex thing. So it's not. It's like, oh yeah, everybody's happy with the buy and burn. I mean, who's going to game that? Who's going to be the counterparty? That's an interesting thing. Like, when do you do the buy and burning? Do you do it at the end of every epoch? Do you do it constantly? I mean, this is yes, I think that it would work, but how do you do it? That's an issue. Yeah,
I think there's a few mentions of this buy and burn idea along the way, so we'll come across it again, I think. But it is an interesting concept, like you said, Paul. DAO. Okay, community questions on the DAO. Is the team going to disband DAO votes in the future?
Yes, this is becoming a DAO-tatorship. Absolutely. No.
Hearts dropped, stomach sunk. DAO not taken into confidence before coming with unilateral announcement. I assume they're referring to that blog post.
There's a thing that people need to understand. There is a DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization. We're not going to do anything, not going to change anything without the approval of people. So even so, right now what we've done is we've literally said, as people with 10 fingers and 10 toes, we are not going to continue working on this given direction because we think it is legally imprudent, and we will not commit any acts which are questionable. And it's not in our best interest, it's not in the community's best interest. But it's not like we're just going to change direction and not heed the concern or the approval of the DAO. So anything and everything that we do as a team going forward with regards to technical roadmap and what we are going to release will need the DAO's input and therefore votes. So to answer this question in a simple way, no.
Struggle to meet quorum. Are there any good examples of DAOs successfully restructuring to achieve consistent quorum?
Yeah, the thing is that the quorum is being abused by some individuals right now who have larger NFT holdings out of a protest, or it is they think it's some sort of loophole for them to exert control over something, or for them to veto or block certain elements from being enacted. Fine. I think that if a DAO is sufficiently engaged and sufficiently motivated, those quorums will be reached. Because technically they do not have the majority, so that's impossible for them to practically entirely block them. I love CV. Solid has a good vote. The guy's always on point with the humor. It's
always
a skill. Yeah, it's never subpar. Always 11 out of 10.
He's Aussie, isn't he?
I don't know, probably. Yeah.
In the blood.
The struggle to meet. Yeah, so the struggle to meet quorum is an issue because apathy murders a project. That's a fact. But aren't you happy we don't have a 1% quorum? Jesus Christ.
Imagine.
Yeah.
In the Medium article, you guys mentioned developing strategies for the path forward will be done with the DAO. What is the reasoning behind this? Doesn't it make more sense for the actual devs to come up with strategies going forward? After all, you guys seem more in the know about regulatory boundaries.
Yeah, so this is a good question. I think that's a slight misconception. So, as you know, we have 1/5 of the vote. We have 1,000 NFTs, so it's in our duty. We have those NFTs not only because YOLO, when they unlock, we're going to market dump them on Magic Eden. That's not. Those NFTs are worthless to us. We're not even like, they're just hashes on a chain. So they don't mean anything to us at the moment. But what they do mean, not in the traditional sense of NFTs, what they do mean is our participation in the DAO. So that means that we have an obligation to not legally but morally contribute ideas and do our part in making sure that this organization moves forward.
Yeah.
So exactly. we definitely want to propose and work with the DAO.
Yeah, sure. Next one. Other questions. How many of the roles have been filled? Will you continue hiring for what positions? So we're pretty content with the team at the moment, I would say, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. But I'll be out on the lookout for Rust developers, because can we go back? Sorry, I think that in the direction which I think we're going to head, we'll need a lot more on-chain experience. Yeah. Ted, you can answer the second question.
Ted has been working on marketing for the DBLP launch. Has this been shelved? So the original plan and the original, I guess, process has been, we'll need to rethink it, need to repivot based on what we're talking about in this presentation. So marketing is still going to occur, but how we market the DBLP itself and how we communicate what the DBLP is or what it's going to be is going to change. So I guess the process now is still just building that platform, building that user base, that potential user base on social platforms and across Discord, getting more people in the Discord, getting more people on Twitter, getting more people involved with via blogs and via just creating awareness of what we're doing. And that's going to be, until we launch and have a product and we can start using it live and using it in line with all the regulatory requirements. That is going to be what we're doing. So just building awareness of the project, because unfortunately this month was going to be Ted has done fuck all. Thanks, Mr. Upler. This guy's adding a lot of value to the chat tonight.
Yeah, can we kick this twerp, this 14-year-old?
Mr. Upler.
Ted is retired, Mr. Upla. If he oh my god.
Yeah, anyway, but marketing is still going to happen. It needs to happen, but it's going to take a different shape given the shape that the project needs to mold to now. So very much still alive and kicking. It's just, it is what it is, and it's going to have to mold itself to the updated positioning of the project in the crypto space and in the wider the market space and regulatory space. So stay tuned on that one. But it's not being shelved, it's being rethought.
Well, it's definitely not being made easy for you, that's for sure. Neither for me. It's been a bit of an uphill battle. Could the DBLP execute strategy using a user's Solana wallet independently? This is not how the blockchain works, I'm sorry. The fourth question, if so, would it be feasible to collect usage fee or fee? I'm going to try and think about answering this in the way that I could understand it. Could you, if I reword this, could you provide a self-custody service whereby the central party still takes a fee? Look, where there's a will, there's a way, but I don't think that this is the best spending of our time. Yeah. Love you too, Iro. What's Adam's role in the project? Yeah, what the fuck is Adam's role in the project? Adam is chief expectation management.
Yeah, but seriously, Adam's he does do a lot behind the scenes. I know on the surface recently, this question's coming up probably. I don't know, the stray tweets or whatever, but Adam does have a big role in guiding, particularly around advice that we're garnering with regulatory concerns and making sure the project is still on track to be sustainable. That's the biggest thing, sustainability.
If Adam wasn't here, this project wouldn't exist at all. Adam has a very keen eye on seeing things far before a lot of people see them. Adam provides a lot of the alpha around the strategies that are coming in. Adam is internally seen as a leader because of his seniority. Does Adam shitpost a lot? Yes. Is it very useful always? No. Do I enjoy it? Very much. Is it in the project's best interest? Questionable. But does he have our best interest at heart and the community's best interest? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, he's warned you far ahead of time of many things. Yeah. We'll see to consider. Yeah, we'll see to consider locking the tokens and NFTs further. My locked tokens, 7 million of them, are worth close to nothing, which I'm very sad about, but it's what it is. My NFTs are locked as long as they are locked, but they are also 70 of them are my votes, and I use them responsibly, as does Ted, as does the other part of the team. I mean, I don't think locking our tokens is going to help anything further. I mean, we have an unlock schedule, but I'm definitely not selling at what is it, 0.00?
Yeah, no.
3 or 0.004. Yeah, it's just stupid, especially because I know what's coming and what we're building. So I'm just patient. I have a far longer horizon than most of the flippers in the Discord on this stuff. It's a lot easier being invested in something if you calculate it as 0 to start off with, because then you'll always be surprised if it becomes valuable, which is a nice way to live. And it's also coincidentally the best way to invest because you're not emotionally attached to your investments. Will the CT okay? So would a buyback? So we've had this question 3 times. I do think so. I think that there is a burn mechanism that would work, but it would have to be a burn mechanism like no other. Like current burn mechanisms are not well thought through, and the likes of Alameda and other shops, they have most of their day-to-day bread and butter automated, and they sit in an office and they discuss what are some asymmetric bets that are coming ahead, and they're looking at things which are unhinged if you look at them closely, and prepare themselves accordingly to make the most use of that kind of stuff. And that is in very big scenarios. In a tiny scenario like Basis, all it takes is one of the smarter people within the Discord to understand how to game a buy and burn mechanism for their own benefit. So yes, I think it's a good mechanism, but my God, it would need to be a lot better than a lot of the buy and burn mechanisms that I've seen so far within crypto. There needs to be utility behind the burn. It cannot just be, oh, produce supply, hope price goes up.
Yeah. Okay. Community questions. Other, what is the legal wrapper around the DAO, if any?
Yeah, so we have a couple of legal entities. We are not disclosing them, nor will we ever disclose them, because that would put us in the limelight of a bunch of crazies that are out there. So that closes that question for good. Could the DBLP run as a software such as that? We've answered that question already. Will the core team propose? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the way it works. So we will be trying to be active and productive members of the community, proposing stuff to the DAO, raising topics for discussion, providing context wherever possible, where there's asymmetric information, and then hope and pray that the DAO is active enough to enact things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Cool.
I mean, the alternative is nothing. So that's stagnation. If you do that, then you're literally, like, if you stand still, you're going behind. And that's already true in the normal world, but in crypto, it's at an accelerated pace towards the path.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
cool.
The whole thing is built. So we are. I mean, I know it's a bit of a joke to release on DevNet, but actually, it provides access to the full mechanism and further testing. It really helps the auditors work with live code, see how the thing is integrated in real time. It helps us get ready for making sure that the DApp is connected well to the smart contracts, etc. We can run several epochs. We'll be continuing to do yield execution and yield extraction execution on the inside. You've seen also the kind of infrastructure that we've developed on the inside to make full use of the markets as they are, and we're definitely not stopping in this area. I do hope that there will be more constructive input, but then again, it is a tough pill to swallow. So I can understand a lot of the salt, and I completely welcome any critique or critical thought. That's completely fine. But if you come in there to FUD, which shows that you haven't read anything that has been put out there or haven't paid more careful consideration to the things that are there, then a swift ban will follow.
Absolutely. Let's get the link up for the Medium article in case people haven't, don't know where to find that. Give me 1 moment. Share that. So TLDR, DBLP is being released this month on DevNet. Any more specific timeline on that, Ball?
This month, so end of Q2. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Just getting this Medium article up. Basis Markets Medium.
Originally, we were going to launch yesterday or today, I think it was, on mainnet, but we have to change a couple of things to get it ready for DevNet. There's also a whole lot of strategy execution code that needs to be rewritten in order to put fake USDC back in, etc.
Yep. So here you go. DBLP and regulatory compliance. This was the article that came out on the 16th of June. And that covers a lot of what we spoke about today and goes into a bit deeper detail of how Bull has built the DBLP and how the devs have pulled it all together. And yeah, it's a really good backer to this presentation, and hopefully lets you have an insight into the deeper workings and thoughts around decisions, or potential decisions being made, and the concerns that we have. So please do read that if you have further questions. But otherwise, the Discord is always open. And that's it. Bull, have you got anything else?
No, just we keep building, and we're not going anywhere. And
That's the important thing. We're still
keep
here.
sending questions. That's very important. Yeah, and if there are some of you in Barcelona, I look forward to meeting you and hopefully share a beer. Grey Fox and I will be finally away from our usual setting, and can start working together on some cool ideas. And I have never not had a good idea when being together with Grey Fox on an adventure. We have seen many things together already. So yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Wish I could be there, but not to be.
Yeah.
A few months.
Tried it.
I'm going to be a European in a few months. Don't worry.
Yes. All right.
Nice.
Well.
All right. Cool.
Back to work.
Thank you, Bull. Great stuff.
Bye,
Thanks, guys, for joining in, and we will see you in the Discord. Cheers.